One comment briefly. I congratulate former Vice President Al Gore on being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. I would have liked to have seen that prize go to the monks who are suffering and dying on behalf of freedom in Burma. That would have been my choice if I had been voting. I also hope that Al Gore will now strongly support nuclear power, which he has not in the past, and I hope he will not continue to support a carbon tax, which will be a tax burden on most low-income Americans, and examine and hopefully favorably be inclined to support the cap-and-trade proposal that Senator Lieberman and I have proposed, which means that companies who reduce greenhouse gas emissions can earn credits and other companies can buy those credits along with a gradual reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. I'm glad to be here to discuss the healthcare issue, and when I go to these kinds of events, I learn as much as anyone because there are very knowledgeable people here in the state of Iowa which has outstanding health care.
One of the things you talked about during your speech was that the health care itself is not bad, it's the cost. Can you kind of reiterate that, kind of explain what all you meant there?
The best medical care in the world is available here in the United States of America. The innovations, the progress in pharmaceuticals and types of medical procedures all happens here in the United States of America. The problem is the escalating costs of health care have made it less affordable and less available to now some 47 million Americans. We have to keep the costs down, and that would then, in my view, go a long way towards solving the health care crisis in America, because if it's not affordable, it's not going to be available. And when I see the big government proposals made by the Democrats, coupled with increases in taxes, there's no restraint on costs. And sooner or later, we're going to have a collapse. Medicare is going to be broke. It's going broke, and we have to fix it. And the only way we're going to keep it from going broke is stop the escalating costs. According to a front page of USA Today, a few days ago, Medicaid costs went up 10% last year. That kind of inflation makes all health care unaffordable.
Senator, you've talked about a $5,000 family tax.
Yes.
Average insurance policy costs $12,000. Presuming it takes some time to bring down the cost of health insurance, isn't your plan going to mean people are going to pay more out of pocket than they are now for health insurance?
Of course not. If we allow any organization to offer health insurance plans, it will bring the cost down. If you allow people all over America, organizations all over America, including Arizona, to offer health care policies here in Iowa, it'll bring costs down. If you treat health care in a comprehensive fashion rather than on a procedure-by-procedure basis, it'll bring health care costs down. If you enact medical malpractice reform, it'll bring health care costs down. And I am convinced that most people will be able to afford a reasonable health insurance program if we enact the reforms that I'm talking about. I also do make provision for pre-existing condition and chronic illnesses, which we're going to have to spend more money to make sure those people are insured as well.
Senator, in many of the polls in Iowa, you're running about fifth, you're running about third nationally. How do you make a move at this point in the race with time ticking down and jump up in the Iowa polls, especially since you admitted the people who win Iowa or South Carolina or New Hampshire are the ones that seem to go on to be the presidential nominee?
Well, I'm pleased with where we are in the national polls as we continue to move up. We moved up about 7 or 8 points in the last few weeks. In New Hampshire, we continue to move up. South Carolina, we continue to move up. In New Hampshire, we're in a virtual tie in most of the polls. We have a lot of work to do here in Iowa. That's why I've got to be back and back and back. You've got a lot of work to do, and I intend to do it. And now that people are focused on the campaign more, because they see it approaching, I'm confident I can out-campaign anybody.
Mr. McCain's S-chip goes before Congress again next week, I believe it is. Will you vote no again?
I would not only vote no, I wouldn't vote heck no. The fact is that they're paying for it with a bogus method, increasing the tax on a pack of cigarettes by $1, which will never happen, which will then entail us encouraging children to smoke, not to speak, will encourage children to smoke. It is a $35 billion expansion in government with no real meaningful way to pay for it. It is now expanding to 300% of the poverty level, which is not the intention to start with. And we have not made the proper steps to try to sign up some 6 million children who, if we just contacted them, we would be able to sign up. It's another example of what happens to entitlement programs in Washington when you get liberals in charge. They expand government and they don't pay for it, and Medicare is going to go broke as it is, and our priority should be fixing Medicare so that future generations of Americans have it, not expanding programs that frankly are redundant and in many ways apply to people that are not the most critical needs in America.
What would you propose to fix that?
A $5 billion increase in what we have will take care and sign up those children that are not signed up today. That's what I do, and I will not mortgage our children's futures. I repeat, I will not mortgage our children's futures, which what we did with Medicare Part B, with what we're doing with Medicare today, and what we are doing with the expansion of the SCHIP. And anybody who does, obviously does not have too much concern about future generations of Americans, because we're going to bankrupt the system and they're not going to have anything.
Why does raising the cigarette tax encourage smoking? Here in Iowa, they've raised the cigarette tax. But here in Iowa, they've raised the tax $1 a pack, and they've decreased the number of smokers since they've done that.
I don't think you fully understand what I said, and that is that they are going to have more people smoke if they're going to pay for it, number one.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say, how does that encourage kids to smoke?
Because they will want people to smoke in order to pay for it, number one. Number two is the lawyers, the attorneys generals and the lawyers made a deal on tobacco, and that they would increase the tobacco tax, and those funds would go to treatment of tobacco-related illnesses, and it would go to educating children on the evils of smoking. Do you know how many states, including this one, spend any money on those programs today? Zero. None. It's unconscionable and disgraceful. When we have programs that encourage children not to smoke, they work. When we don't, they don't. And these states have abrogated their responsibilities, which they agreed to in formal agreements as to what the last tobacco tax increase was going to do. How can we have any confidence of what they'll do with the next tobacco tax increase?
Senator, how will you get companies to agree to your payment plan where a patient would pay one annual fee and then...
We'll force them to. If they want to get paid, they have to do that. It's pretty simple.
But how will you force companies to do that? How do you just...
If they want to get paid, and they are in the business of wanting to get paid, they would have to adopt that procedure. Just if right now, under the present system, if they want to get paid, they do the present system. It'll be changed.
How much would your tax credits, your risk adjustment payments cost, and where would you find the money for that? I mean, I know you guys don't have a precise estimate. Some of the other campaigns put out on the Democratic side.
Sure, they want to raise taxes.
Yeah, how much they're...
All I can tell you is
would
that...
your program cost any money? And if so,
all I can tell you is I know that over time it will reduce healthcare costs, and it will make those costs lower for all Americans, and we will be saving trillions of dollars, and we will keep Medicare from going bankrupt.
Last question.
The local American Red Cross has started a project that's first in the nation about treating soldiers and their families with PTSD. Now the National American Red Cross may take it on. How important is that to soldiers and their families, being someone who's spent time behind enemy lines?
It's vital, and one of the ways that we can do that is to have veterans have access to normal medical needs through having a card where they can go to a provider. The VA is very good at PTSD treatment. The problem is we don't have enough people who are doing it now. One of many of Rumsfeld's big mistakes was that we didn't anticipate this long war. We didn't anticipate the number of veterans, and our VA facilities are badly overstressed. And we've got to focus on PTSD, combat-related wounds, burns, and other things that the VA is best at, and allow veterans for normal medical care to go out with a card and get the best care that they can find.
I see an organization is doing that?
Pardon me?
It's nice to see a local organization that's given families that chance.
The American Red Cross is a wonderful organization. So is the VFW and the American Legion and the DAV.